Yes, hello, Umar. Welcome on YourPedia platform, and let's start your snap for your final JKPSC interview for the
Thank you, sir.
post of Assistant Engineer in Public Works Department. So, Umar, what you prepared in IC engine subject? What do you understand by IC engine?
So IC engine, it's a machine in which we get work by burning some fuel.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, and the combustion process is totally inside the combustion chamber, sir, in our system.
Achha,
That's
how
what
we
IC
measure the
engine is.
performance of an IC engine? Suppose, for example, you are having some diesel engine. Okay, so
Yes, sir.
how we measure performance of a diesel engine?
So actually, we have two powers. That is, first one is our indicated power, that is measured by MOS test, and second one is our brake power, which can be measured by the dynamometer, sir, brake type. Yes, sir.
So, how we can
These are
measure
the
the indicated power of a single cylinder diesel engine?
Sir, indicated power, I think, sir, MOS test. It will be again by the MOS
Most
test.
test is it applicable for a single cylinder also? Modes test. Can we conduct it on single cylinder?
MOS test. Sorry, sir, I am not sure about the MOS test. Whether it is
Modes test is generally used to measure the indicated power of a multi-cylinder engine, or not for single cylinder.
okay, sir.
So modes test we cannot conduct on single cylinder diesel engine. Just think of any other process by which we can measure the indicated power.
So I think the motoring test.
Motoring test, yes. Then how we can
Yes, sir.
conduct that test? Or
Sir, in motoring test, what we do is we cut the fuel supply to the engine, and we provide the power with the help of a electric motor, sir. एंड दैट मोटर रीडिंग इज जो भी उसकी रेटिंग होगी वो हमारे पास अवेलेबल होगी, और जो हमें पावर देना होगा मोटर को, मतलब वो हम मेजर कर सकते हैं। तो उसकी वजह से जो भी मतलब जो पावर मतलब फाइनली हमें मिल जाएगा वहां पे, तो फ्यूल जो कलेक्ट करेगी, तो उस फ्यूल का जो कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू है वहां से हम सर निकाल सकते हैं मोटरिंग टेस्ट से।
फ्यूल के कैलोरीफिक वैल्यू से कैसे आप निकालोगे?
सर जैसे मैंने मोटर
What you
से
will get? You will get FP frictional power or IP through motoring test.
सर मोटरिंग टेस्ट से फ्रिक्शनल पावर हम जनरली मतलब निकाल सकते हैं।
But you don't know the process actually, like how we are going to measure that.
यस सर, सर एक्चुअली
Procedure you don't know.
यस सर।
Fine. So one thing is you mentioned like IP we can measure, the BP we can measure, okay. But IP, BP are not the performance parameter. So I asked you how we can measure the performance of a diesel engine. For example, let's compare two diesel engine. Okay, one is having
Yes,
IP maybe for example 50 kilowatt, another is having IP 25 kilowatt. So
yes
what you
sir.
can say? Can we comment the engine which is having IP 50 kilowatt that is more efficient?
No sir, that will depend on the size also, sir. वो तो size पे भी
Obviously,
depend कर
yes.
सकते हैं।
So these are not performance parameter. IP and BP are not performance parameter.
Okay sir.
परफॉर्मेंस कैसे मेजर करोगे आप डीजल इंजन का?
So performance जो BPF जो ब्रेक फ्यूल स्पेसिफिक कंजप्शन हमारी होती है वो।
Yes, good. Tell me about the process, how you are going to measure the brake specific fuel consumption, and what do you mean by brake specific fuel consumption?
सर स्पेसिफिक मतलब मींस कि पर किलोवाट हमें कितना फ्यूल लगता है मतलब इंजन में सर,
Good.
दैट इज व्हाट
Suppose I
ब्रेक।
have given you some engine. Okay.
यस सर।
Let us consider the same engine, single cylinder diesel engine.
यस सर।
So how you are going to conduct the test to measure its BSFC, brake specific fuel consumption? What you will do to measure that?
सॉरी सर, मैं इस टाइम रिकॉल नहीं कर पा रहा हूँ सर पूरा कि मतलब कैसे हम
Means you feel
BFSC
you are
का।
not practically good because theoretically you are correlating, you are answering the things, but when I'm going into some practical detail, you are
यस
unable
सर।
to relate. So you have not conducted any experiment in this subject. Have you visited
जनरली
IC lab during your B.Tech graduation?
in college, in my college time sir, I just performed the MOS test, that's what I mentioned, and the motoring test sir.
So there was some lab there in the institute you have studied.
No sir.
There was no such lab there. IC
No
engine.
sir. IC engine lab was there, but we performed just the two tests. One was the MOS test, and there was the, that I remember is this motoring test sir.
Okay, but you know, in this job profile, majorly you have to deal with all practical works only. You know,
Yes, sir.
so then you feel you will be able to, you know, manage with all those practical works.
Yes, sir. That's a matter of concern, sir, for me.
क्या करोगे आप? From where, which particular resource, you know, you can refer to make yourself, you know, strong in the experiment? Are you ready to learn those kind of things?
Yes, sir.
So from where you can learn?
So I think, sir, the different media platforms
YouTube.
generally. Yes, sir. YouTube.
But that also is going to provide you the theoretical knowledge, not practical. For practical work, you need to visit to some lab.
Yes, sir.
So what you can do for that?
So I think I will go for the highest studies, sir.
Then it is good to first complete the masters and then you can try for this position.
So I can do my masters also while working, sir.
Okay. Okay, let me ask you some more question about Umar, you
Okay,
know
sir.
about knocking in SI engine.
Yes, sir.
So how knocking occurs in SI engine?
Sir, in SI engine, the knocking is actually by the abnormal combustion, the effect of the abnormal combustion. And the abnormal combustion, it happens because when the different flame fronts are formed, uh, then when two fluid forms or different fluid forms, they interact with each other, and there will be a pressure wave, and that pressure wave will strike our engine with a very high force, and that can cause damage to our engine and a pinking sound. That sound is called as a knocking.
Ajay, just tell me how we can reduce that knocking tendency in petrol engine, SI engine.
Sir, in SI engine, one is our retarding our spark plug, sir. First
Mhm.
one is our retarding our spark plug. Second one is using high octane number fuels like petrol with the high octane number. And third one is our decreasing the inlet temperature and pressure. Fourth one is our first one was, sir, as I mentioned this. So retarding my spark plug. Second one was reducing the inlet temperature and pressure. And third one is our using the high octane number fuels.
Mhm.
Mm, that's what, sir. And we can use it for the high speed, sir. If we increase the speed of the engine, then we can reduce the knocking, sir, the knocking of our engine.
Equivalence ratio क्या होता है Umar?
What, sir?
What is equivalence ratio?
Equivalence ratio.
Yes,
Sorry, sir, I haven't heard about it.
you have not heard about equivalence ratio.
No, sir.
Mhm. Okay. So Umar, what are air standard cycles?
Sir, air standard cycles are those cycles in which we assume that the working fluid is air. These cycles are, first one is our Otto cycle, second one is diesel cycle, and third one is our dual cycle, sir.
Can you draw the TS diagram for dual cycle?
Dual cycle, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, yes. Go ahead. Just draw the dual cycle diagram on temperature versus entropy flow. TS diagram.
Thank you. So this one, here it is temperature, and here it is entropy, sir.
This 2 to 3 is which particular process? 2 to 3.
Sir, it's a constant volume heat addition, sir.
And next 3 to 4.
And three to four is another heat addition of constant pressure.
So slope of constant volume processes are higher as compared to slope of constant pressure on TS diagram.
Yes, sir.
Okay. ठीक है उमर. Umar, tell me something about turbocharging.
So turbocharging is it's an I think it's an accessory with which we can reduce the knocking of CI engines. It is in turbocharging. What we do is we supply the engine with the highly compressed air, and with which the more oxygen is intaken inside the combustion chamber, and the good combustion happens to our fuel, and with which the efficiency also as the power output increases.
Fine. So, what is the working principle of a carburetor? Umar, you know, in petrol engine we use that particular device known as carburetor.
Yes, sir.
What is the main
Sir,
function of that device, carburetor, and what is the working principle?
sir, the main function of the carburetor is the mixing of the air fuel mixture that we have to supply in our petrol engine, SI engine, sir. And it is working. This working principle is our air aspiration effect, sir. That is when vacuum is when air flows inside the main chamber of our carburetor. It sucks in the fuel from the fuel tank or the sump tank, which is provided nearest to the carburetor. That is how our carburetors works, sir.
Okay. My last question to you, Umar.
Yes, sir.
Umar, idling से आप क्या समझते हैं? And what kind of air fuel mixture is required during idling condition?
Sir, idling generally means when there is at least 10 to 20% load condition on our engine. 10 to 15, sir. Sorry. Generally, we take that when load condition to our engine is about 10 to 15%, then we said that our engine is idling, sir. And during idling, it is generally, sir, rich fuel. In SI engine, it is generally SI and CI engine. It is generally the rich fuel air fuel mixture is intake inside our engine, is required inside our engine, sir.
Sure. Okay. ठीक है, Umar. I think I can provide you the feedback.
Yes, sir.
Umar, your knowledge is looking fine. Okay, so initially I asked you some question, although theoretically you answered those questions correctly. But
Yes,
you
sir.
missed the kind of significance part. I cannot say practical part because they also know there is a limitation to conduct those kind of experiment. Usually we conduct only one time, okay, those particular experiments. And you
Yes,
also to worry about those kind of things, but you need to relate the things. Like you answered, what is BSFC? It is a ratio of the mass of fuel consumed to the unit power produced.
yes,
So what you can do, sir, for that we can first measure the BP of an ICE engine, how much is the BP, and at
yes,
what rate fuel is consuming. So usually we define BSFC in kg per kilowatt hour, the amount of fuel consumed in kg per hour, okay,
yes, sir.
and the power we produced,
Yes, sir.
okay, kilowatt, BP, okay. So how much is the fuel consumed divided by the brake power in
Yes,
kilowatt,
sir.
you will get BSFC in kg per kilowatt hour. Are you getting
Yes,
me?
sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
For that, what you can do, you can measure how much is the fuel is consuming in an hour. Okay, that you can easily measure by attaching
Yes,
some kind of burette. With that, you can measure the mass of fuel consumed, rate some rate you can measure how much is the fuel consumed per second, maybe 10
so
seconds,
that
and you
means
can multiply.
अगर हमें BFSC निकालना है तो हम ऐसे निकाल सकते जैसे मुझे पहले ब्रेक पावर मिल गया मतलब शाफ्ट पे
So first you need to run
तो
first you need to run your engine at some constant speed and load.
ओके
ठीक है, आप उसको फिर स्टेडी स्टेट में लेके आओगे. You will run it for a kind of 15 minutes or 20 minutes so that it will reach to some steady state. Okay,
यस
then
सर
what you will do, you will measure the BP,
यस सर
brake power. Okay,
यस सर
again you will restore the engine to the same condition, and then you can start measuring the fuel consumption, maybe kg per.
दैट मीन्स सर अगर हम इसको ऐसे समझे कि पहले हम ब्रेक पावर को कैलकुलेट कर लिया तो उसके बाद फाइनली हम ये देखेंगे कि उसके करस्पॉन्डिंग कितना फ्यूल हमसे कंजप्ट हुआ.
फ्यूल का तो रेट निकालना पड़ेगा ना आपको, किस
Yes, sir.
रेट पे फ्यूल कंज्यूम हो रहा है, kg per second, and then you can convert it into kg per hour also.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So if your engine is running at some constant speed and load, so whatever fuel it is consuming per second, then you can think of it will consume some fuel in per hour. So by calculating kg per second, or maybe how much fuel it consumed in 10 seconds, by multiplying it with 6, you can get how much fuel it consumed in a minute, and then multiplying by 60, you can get how much fuel it consumed in a hour.
सर मतलब जनरली अगर उन्होंने पूछ लिया कि परफॉर्मेंस ऑफ किसी भी इंजन का कैसे निकाल सकते हैं, तो उसमें कौन कौन से पैरामीटर्स हमने
देखो उसमें
एनालिसिस करने
सबसे
हैं?
मेजर पैरामीटर क्या आएगा, उसका efficiency, thermal efficiency. Okay, so sir,
ओके
first
सर.
important parameter is the brakes thermal and the indicated thermal efficiency.
यस सर.
पहले तो efficiency बोलो आप, thermal efficiency, brake thermal
यस.
efficiency. Second, you can talk about the volumetric efficiency.
यस सर.
Then you can measure the mechanical efficiency.
यस सर.
Then you can define the BSFC, brake specific fuel consumption.
यस
These
सर.
are brake specific fuel consumption is a very important parameter to compare different engines of different sizes.
यस सर.
Like suppose you are having two diesel engine of different sizes, then their mass of fuel consumed will be different,
यस सर.
and their power output will also be different.
यस सर.
So you cannot compare them only by comparing their fuel consumption, because fuel consumption will be higher obviously in the larger size diesel engine. Okay,
यस सर.
that's why that parameter is defined. How much power we are, how much fuel we have consumed to get that BP, unit power.
यस सर. यस सर. यस सर. गॉट इट सर. गॉट इट सर.
So
क्लियर
with
सर.
that
दिस.
we can compare different engines, different size diesel engine, maybe different size petrol engines. Are you getting?
यस सर.
तो थोड़ा सा इसको आप समझना है. Okay, practical significance you need to get. Similarly, there are so many tests we conduct to measure IP, like Williams slide method hai. Okay, the indicator diagram, we can draw the indicator diagram, actual PV
ओके सर.
diagram. Then we are having the motoring test also.
यस सर.
Most test is having limitation, because most test generally we conduct it for a multi-cylinder petrol engine, because in petrol engine it is easy to cut a cylinder, because just by cutting the spark you can restrict the combustion in a particular cylinder. Although we can conduct it on diesel engine also, but only for multi-cylinder diesel engine. For single cylinder diesel engine we cannot conduct most test, Umar.
ओके
ठीक
सर.
है, तो ऐसा मिस्टेक नहीं करना है. So your knowledge is looking fine, only some mistakes you made. Okay,
यस
and
सर.
those were also very much specific. So I can say ki you need to relate, you need to think actually in more,
यस सर.
in that practical or application way. I feel then you will be in a very better position to convince the interviewer about your technical understanding. Okay, so although overall it was
ओके सर.
good, Umar, don't worry about
यस
that.
सर.
Was your first snap only. So there is a potential in you. Technical understanding is good. Go into more detail so that in your final interview you will be in a better position.
सर वन थिंग
तो
मोर
मेरे
सर.
ख्याल से ऐसा कोई ऐसा नहीं है कि आपका knowledge नहीं है. Your knowledge is good. Your knowledge is fine, but have some more practical understanding. Fine, Umar?
यस. यस सर. फाइन सर. बस वन मोर डाउट सर. मैंने ये पूछना था कि मतलब मैक्सिमम सर कितने सब्जेक्ट्स प्रिपेयर करके जाएंगे हम?
देखो 4-5 सब्जेक्ट तो आपको करने चाहिए, 4-5 सब्जेक्ट.
सर एक्चुअली आई हैड कंप्लीटेड माय थर्मल, दिस इज बेसिक थर्मो, माय SOM and TOM, and FM.
ठीक है, SOM, thermo, FM, ठीक है. This combination is looking good. Fine, Umar. You can go with that.
Okay sir, thank you sir.
Because SOM you included, so thermal part is there and SOM part also you included. I think 4 subject you prepared, na Umar?
Yes sir, 4
So number of subject doesn't matter, Umar. Like if you are going into any interview, what you need to say, okay sir, actually for this interview sir I prepared, I revised these 4 subject, although I like entire mechanical engineering because I have chosen that domain after my
Yes sir.
12th. So I'm very much comfortable in all the subjects, but sir, this time for this interview I revised these 3-4 subjects. Then you can mention
Okay.
that name. So you need to
Okay,
show
sir.
confidence in your understanding related to the basic mechanical engineering subjects, but you can highlight some of the key subjects. ठीक है?
Okay sir.
चलो, okay Umar, good luck, best of luck for your final interview.
Thank you sir, thank you sir, thank you so much.